goodness. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. I forgot my headband. Now I'm ready. So, I hope everybody's having a great day. I don't have my glasses on. I'll have to put them on when we start working because I can't see what I'm doing. But, just wanted to wish you all a happy Halloween. Hope you had a great week. My week's been a little bit stressful and hectic, but had some fun. We host an annual Halloween party for our street, so everyone comes over. Some of them dress up, some of them don't. We have some new neighbors that, you know, we haven't quite broken them in yet, but we have a lot of fun. We have I make skull-shaped calzones. That's one of my favorite Halloween meals to make, so it's lots of fun. I went as a skeleton this year. This is my headband, and you know, I've got my skeleton look going here today, just so that I can continue the fun. Also wearing my spider web ear cuff that's got a spider dangling down on it, you know, and I've got my skull. I also have this beautiful pendant. It's made by Cassie Kriebel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. She's a you know, one of the pewter soldering artists. She's out of Colorado. I know many of you also, you know, many have heard from Laura Lunsford. It's you know, same thing. She's just another person. She does some great Halloween ones. I also have a kyanite skeleton pendant that's a lot of fun. Anyways, yeah, so my week, we had a great party. My cat, one of my cats had to have dental surgery this week, so we learned all about apparently some cats, their bodies develop this autoimmune thing that kind of rejects their teeth. So my poor cat had to lose his front canines, or top canines. So I don't know if I'm going to start calling him Toothless or not. You know, he kind of reminds me of Toothless the Dragon, if you if you're into seeing any of that stuff. And actually, even before I knew he was going to have that happen, I had bought him those dragon wings for his costume. So that said, he's doing great. And just so you know, I took those pictures before today, so I was not, you know, forcing a costume on my poor cat that just had surgery yesterday. Anyways, yeah, hopefully all of you saw my cats' pictures in their costumes. Neither one of them was happy about it. We've put things on them in the past. They seem to be okay if I just put something around their neck. So I have little, like, kind of Joker collars, you know, that has the little dangles and stuff. And, you know, they'll wear those. But when I put the cape on my one cat, she walks backwards, like she's gonna walk out of it. It's hilarious. I wished I had videotaped the whole thing, but I only took those few stills. And my other cat with the wings was just rolling around trying to get at them. So, hey Janelda, thanks for joining me. Going for the little skeleton look, I decided not to put my headband on strobe though. We're just gonna do solid so it doesn't scare anybody too much. But anyways, yeah, I was just sharing the cat costume stories. You know, we put costumes on our cats for our amusement because it's so funny how they react. And like I said, I wish I had a video of the one walking backwards trying to get out of her witch's cape. And then my other poor cat was rolling around trying to bite at his wings. But anyways, they've been given the rest of the evening off, so I won't torture them anymore. They just get tortured long enough to take a picture. So, anyways, so today we're gonna make a a bail, and I'm using buttons in my design. Sea glass, I'm actually using fake sea glass. I'm not using real sea glass because I needed some small things, so I'm using just some sort of small matte glass beads that look kind of sea glass-ish. And I'm using a little bit of chain, and my design will be inspired by nature. I saw you posted your cake tester, Janelle. I haven't had a real chance to look at it yet, but I will go back and look at it. I'm very excited to see that you finished your design. Just a reminder to everyone that out there that's a member of our Bead Stash Challengers group, and if you're not already, please click the link and join it. But we do have 2 giveaways going this month. Today's the last day to get in on both of those. We're giving away a cancer awareness pink bracelet kit. That'll go to people that post pink designs. So we will have these drawings this weekend. Yep. I know, week 44. Yeah. The second giveaway we're giving away, and I know, you'll have it for next year if you're the winner, but I'm giving away my cauldron necklace. So if you post your Bead Stash challenges, you get in on our drawing. As always, you can post a bunch of pictures. You only get 1 entry. I just want to make it fair. But I look forward to seeing everybody's entries. And I will, we don't usually have 2 giveaways. I will allow the same person to win both of them. But it will be a random drawing. So chances are they won't necessarily both be won by the same person. So, and let's see, my last announcement, Sunday, I will be going on at my normal time, but it will not be my normal time to eat all the rest of you, unless you're in Arizona, or is it Hawaii that doesn't go? I forget. One other state doesn't do daylight savings. So we don't do daylight savings. The rest of you will be going off of daylight savings. So I will be an hour earlier for everybody. Yeah, because I will be on we're always on Mountain Standard Time, but Mountain Standard Time is specific time in the summer when you guys are all on daylight savings, and it's just Mountain Standard Time when the rest of the year. So anyways, hour earlier for everybody. This weekend we will do the drawings. We'll do our drawing of the cards for week 45, and we'll see what kind of project I decide to come up with. I'm a little bummed that I couldn't figure out how to do sort of a Halloween themed project today, because my cards just, it wasn't working for me. I already had to think hard about how I was going to do what I'm going to do, but it would have taken way more thinking to also try to bring in the Halloween theme. So we're not doing a Halloween themed project today, but you know what? I haven't even worn all my Halloween jewelry. And I was joking with my husband that, I need to start getting rid of some of that. But I said, just wait till I open my Christmas jewelry box, because I think I have enough different Christmas tree earrings that I could wear a new one every day of the month. So yes, because I think you're only an hour off from me, right? You're on Central. So yes, I will still be going on at 12 o'clock my time, but 12 o'clock my time will be Mountain Standard Time. So, hour earlier. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and get started. Got to put my glasses on because I can't see without them. So, and all right. So just a reminder, our cards. So we have to make a bail today. So, when you make a bail, it can be as simple as making a jump ring, or it can be a little fancier. I can't remember, it was Cindy that made the bail a couple of weeks ago, and she made a nice fancy wire wrapped bail. I'm gonna do something a little different today. We'll see. But remember, when you draw one of these cards, that's like making a component, what you make can be part of your design and all the rest of the cards can define your design, or you can try to put all the cards into the making of your veil, which is what I'm going to do today, just because it'll be kind of interesting. Hey Cindy, thanks for joining me. you come on right at the right time because I was talking about your veil. So my veil will not look anything like your veil. Anyways, I have to use buttons in my design, and I have to use chain, and I have to use sea glass. So I was explaining that I was using I'm using some matte glass beads that look kind of like sea glass, so that counts as faux sea glass. And actually some of them I think were sold as you know, fake sea glass. And then I had to do something inspired by nature. Now the nature one actually made my design more complicated. You would think maybe the button would, you know, but I could always made a necklace or something using the button, but I had to figure out how to get nature in there. Now, because sea glass isn't really nature, right? It could be created by nature, but it's not necessarily. And I have my anklet that we made on Sunday also here. So anyways, let's see what I've got here. I do apologize because I think making this project is going to be everything's kind of tiny. So I think it's going to be hard to see, but I will try to hold it up as best I can. So I have a little bit of teeny tiny chain. I already cut a really short piece off, and you'll see why I did that in a minute. I've got an assortment of, like I said, matte. These are not, well, they're not seed beads, but they're sort of seed bead size. I got them at Stars Beads, the actual shop, quite a few years ago. But, you know, just love the colors. And I love that, like I said, it kind of looks like sea glass. And then I'm going to throw in this button. And now I'm using a 2-hole button here. Just kind of a fun button. We'll see how... You'll see how I incorporate that. Now, I did think about using a shank button, but I decided to use a 2-hole button. And then I'm going to throw in one of these leaves. We'll see how the design looks. You know, maybe I'll throw in both of them. Who knows? This is my nature inspiration, okay? So there you go. I got my sea glass, I got my chain, I got my button, and I got my nature inspiration. So I'm going to use some 22 gauge wire. I'm just using copper because I had it handy, and it looks okay with my color scheme here. I'm going to cut about 2 feet because it's, you know, you want plenty of wire. I'm using 22 gauge just because it bends a little better. Certainly 20 gauge would work as long as it fits through the holes in your components. Hey Veronica, thanks for joining us. So this is just here because I was thinking I needed a dangle to show you how the bail is used when I get done. So I don't know if, how many of you have been following the TGBE for a while. A couple of shows ago, might have been the first one this year, or it might have been the last one of last year. Abby Berta over at the Bead Place made a sort of a beaded button, or a beaded bead. So I'm kind of going along with that design a little bit, you know, kind of how she did that to make my bail. So I do need something to wrap this around because I got to create, you know, the hole for the thread, the beading thread or wire or whatever you end up doing. This is just, it's a decorative metal pick. Some of you could get some of these in the future as possible cake test sticks, but I'm going to be using it as a dowel a metal dowel today with my design. So, but that's kind of where we're going. So yeah, I'll try to look up that beaded bead design. Now, I've made them a couple times and I think they're a lot of fun. So what I'm envisioning here is I have this little tiny piece of chain, and I am putting the ends of the chain onto this wire. And seem to be having trouble seeing my other side. What brand of wire am I using? So this is, what is it? Okay. This is from Ace Hardware sells it. You can get it on Amazon too. But it's, you know, it's not wire I would make ear wires out of, because, I mean, it is just pure copper wire. I use this a lot when I'm doing, you know, metalsmithing. If I'm making, like, if I want to ball up the ends to make ear head pins or something, you want some pure copper wire if you're going to do copper. So, but it's great for wire wrapping. It's a lot cheaper than buying, you know, buying craft wire from the jewelry makers. So I keep this around to use for, like, when I'm practicing making my new animal sculptures and things like that. So anyways, that's probably more than you wanted to know, but like I said, many of the hardware stores do carry it, and get it in, I think 24, 22, and 20, maybe 18 also. It doesn't come in a ton of different sizes, but anyways, so I put my little chain on here, and like I said, I don't know that you're going to be able to see that, but hopefully you can see my little ring here. So that's basically, this little piece of chain is going to be what hangs down and makes this a bail that you can attach something to. So that's how I'm incorporating my chain into this design. So I'm just going to, you know, kind of slide it towards the middle. You don't have to be exact on this. This is a very fluid design. It's and what I'm going to do is just sort of bend my wire a little bit, just so that holds into that. And then I'm going to put wire through one of the lower buttonhole. I'm going to make, basically the two buttonholes are going to be vertical. So I'm putting my button on here, and then I am going to just sort of bend the wire so that it goes around the bottom of the button. I was trying to do something a little more creative, like go back through the button, but it was not working as well. This 22 gauge will fit two pieces through the buttonhole, but it's not, it doesn't fit real well. So anyways, you could make your wires go front to back or back to front. So I have one wire coming through the bottom of the button, and then the other wire that's coming around the other side of the button, I'm going to put through the top button hole, or the second buttonhole. In my case, it ends up being the top, because like I said, I have the holes lined up vertically. Now this is where you can run into little trouble, because your the wire can rub on your button and get bent out of shape. And see, I've already it's already slid a little, so I'm gonna have to be doing some maneuvering here. I'm gonna pull out my pliers to help me so that I don't break things. like I said, this is the hardest part, just because you can't just pull to tighten this wire. I mean, sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't. So, but I am kind of pulling at it now. And so basically, then I will end up with, like I said, my chains dangling off the bottom. And then I have wire going through the 2 holes in the buttons so that then they come together at the top. And you can tighten that up more. It should be fine. So I have, like I said, I have the 2 wires just sticking here at the top. What I'm going to do is cross them over and just bend them down. And what I want to do then is take this stick that I'm using as my dowel, and I'm just going to take one of the wires, it doesn't matter which one, and I'm going to do about 3 or 4 wraps. And here's where, you know, you can make it as wide as you want to be. And then I'll take the other one, and I'm basically going in the opposite direction, right? And I'm going to slide those in, and then just make sure that everything is facing the direction, because, you know, I want the color of my button to be part of my design. I'm going to wrap this one a couple more. Like I said, you can make it as wide or as narrow as you want, right? Hey Lorraine, thanks for joining us. Hope you're having a good Halloween. I guess you guys might be getting trick-or-treaters already. We don't get a ton of them around here. We get a few, but my next door neighbor's granddaughter is in town, so apparently she's going to go trick-or-treating for the first time. She's 2. So we'll see at least one trick-or-treater today. All right, so once I have this rolled on there, so that forms the part of my bail that's going to be attached to, or that's going to slide onto, you know, the beading wire or whatever I happened to put this on, right? So now I'm going to just start adding beads, and, you know, you can do this however you want. I'm just going to make them so that they're like they end up at the front. So I'm adding adding a bead, but then, you know, just continuing to wrap so that it just starts forming a design. I'm going to only work on one side at a time. And like I said, if you're one of those people that likes things really polished and looks like, you know, machine made and everything, you're not going to like my design today because it's going to be real sloppy and rustic. But you know what? Sometimes that's just fun. But I do know, I have a friend that she and I used to go take jewelry classes together all the time, and she really didn't like the rustic handmade look, and I don't know why she didn't, but she didn't. And like I said, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but sometimes that just makes things really unique if you when you hand make them. That's part of the hand making process. All right, so now that I got to the one end, I'm going to go ahead and, stick on a few more. Just going back, I'm trying to switch up colors, but, they don't always sort of mix them up as well. And like I said, you can add as many or as little as you want. I'm just trying to make this a little more interesting and wrapping it. Yeah, I tried making something similar in 20 gauge, and it was just a little too much wire showing. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that kind of fun? All right, so I'm going to start working a little bit on the other side, just to mix this up. And you know, you could make this as thick or as thin, you know, as many beads or as few beads as you want. You could make it more wire, less beads. Although, you know, why would you want to make things with less beads, right? Do any of you get any trick-or-treaters in your neighborhood? Like the look. All right, great. All right, so, you know, I still have quite a bit of wire here, but I think I want to go ahead and slide on my my nature inspiration. So that would be the leaf. Now, like I said, I can use multiple leaves. I can just use the one. I do want to make sure it's sort of you know, on the top or something. And I'm going to slide that wire through that hole that happens to be there, so that I can stabilize this. Now, so the leaf you kind of have to mess with, and you do want to maybe like do, you know, an extra wrap around the bottom to make sure that it's on there securely. And, you know, these things have, it's glass, so you got to be careful. But you also want to make sure everything is kind of anchored so it doesn't move around, because that's when it's going to be more likely to cause it to break. I'll get my hands out of the way here once I tighten this up a little. So, you know, I could still put another, maybe I'll put another leaf on just for fun. My sample only had one leaf, but you can never have too many leaves. Huh? You may get a few, but not many. Yeah, I live in a neighborhood with a lot of retirees, but we also have you know, a few people in the neighborhood that have kids. And a couple streets over, there's lots of people that decorate for Halloween. So presumably there's kids over there. They don't necessarily cross the street and come over here. I have discovered since I moved to Arizona, though, that people love Halloween around here. You get so many people that decorate, you know, those inflatables that you can get out. We have a neighbor that apparently loves dragons. So like whatever holiday has one of those inflatables that's a dragon, they have it. So like for Halloween right now, I think they must have 10, 15 different dragons on their in their design or their decorations. So it's always kind of fun to see what new one they find each year. Now, I'm just, you know, when you get to the end, you want to be able to tuck it in. You don't want something sticking out. So I'm kind of tucking the end through the middle so I can make sure it's not poking out anywhere. And I might have to trim it, you know, if it's too long, but I also want to make sure this one gets anchored in there really well. So then I do have a little bit of wire here, so I can certainly you know, tuck that one back around. You know, you want to avoid getting the wires at the ends, just because then they're more likely to, if it starts unraveling for some reason, you might run into issues. But anyways, all right. Don't think I want to. I don't think I want to wrap that anymore. So I think I'll trim it and. And just tuck in that end. So now, one thing, if you're working with this kind of wire, like I said, it is raw copper, and you know, you can sell back raw copper, or if you do any, like I said, working with a torch at all, you can melt it yourself, so don't throw it away. You're the old folks in the okay. Yeah, well, my husband loves Halloween, so we decorate. That's also how we got started doing the Halloween party. Yes, and we always have candy left over. It was fine when he used to work, or when either one of us used to work, because we could take our extra candy to work. Now we just have extra candy sitting around. All right, so there's sort of my my crazy free-formed bail. I've got my little bit of chain here, so that was my chain requirement, my button, got my sea glass, I've got my nature. Now see, it can slide right off, and then you would have that hole in the middle. You know, you want to be careful that you don't squeeze it, because you'll crush your hole in the middle. It'll be hard to find. But let's go ahead and see if we can hook this leaf on there, just so I can show you how it looks with something dangling from it. Like I said, this design was just to kind of show you, you can make your bail with lots of things in there. So Janelle, in my house, you'd be fighting for those Reese's with my husband. That's his favorite too. I like them. I like the Whoppers. So we buy the mixed bag. All right. So there we go. That's what it looks like with something dangling on it. I'm going to put this back on my stick, just so it's easier to... now, the chain does make it an issue with your dangle kind of moving around, but you know, when it's up against you, it's not really a problem. Here's the one I made, sort of as my practice one, so it has, see, you can see how it came out a little different, but you know, I only have one leaf there. And you know, I could have used any kind of button, and then, you know, I have a stone hanging from there. So anyways, just something a little different. Oh, thank you, Janelda. You know, I have to say, being forced to try new things with the cards all the time has made me a little more creative, but I also love seeing some things, you know, like I talked about, Abby made the beaded beads, and, you know, just taking something and changing it to fit something else is one of the things that I like to do. I don't, you know, I consider it as borrowing a technique, you know, not stealing their idea. But anyways, that's what you got. And like I said, if you have the our non-jewelry findings kit, you also can, if you don't want to make your cake tester out of these, you can use it as a nice dowel to make your wrapped bead on. So anyways, that's my my take on the project for today. You borrow all the time. Well, like I said, you know, it's flattery, right? You know, some people want to make exactly what somebody else makes. With something like these freeform things, you actually, it's almost impossible to copy somebody's exactly anyways. But, you know, you could try this with all sorts of different things, and you certainly wouldn't have to use the button. I had, you know, thought about using, you know, a shank button, and you could certainly hang a shank button anywhere in this process. It could have been used, you know, the same way I added the leaves or something to your design. So, you know, just be creative, try new things, and you know, I love that you guys are hanging out with me. Let me switch my camera. Oh yeah, I had my little skeleton guy there. My plant died. I cannot keep an air plant alive in the desert. Apparently, I overwater them. I can never tell if I'm overwatering or underwatering. But anyways, all right, we'll take the glasses back off. So you know, those of you that joined later didn't get to see my my skeletons. You know, so. Anyways, hope you guys have a great Halloween. Enjoy the trick-or-treaters who just finished your challenge. All right. Look forward to seeing it. And like I said, as a reminder, on Sunday, I don't go off daylight savings. I'm already not on daylight savings. So I will be on an hour earlier for all of you that are joining me. And we'll be that way until, what, March or whenever daylight savings starts up again. It seems like it's earlier every year. But anyways, it'll still be noon for me and those of you in Arizona and on the Mountain Time Zone. So I will be doing the drawings, so get your designs in. Again, the pink designs will get you in for the drawing for the Cancer Awareness Bracelet Kit, and then the other designs will get you in for the Cauldron Necklace. So I will be sending those your way. And you'll have something for next year, you know, or at least parts if you want. You can always feel free to take it apart and reuse the parts in some other way. I will also be celebrating. So Sunday I'll probably talk about it. We may be going to one of the Day of the Dead festivals this weekend, and just a reminder that you know, Day of the Dead is not Halloween. Day of the Dead is a great way to think about your relatives, your pets. It's very common to, you know, honor your pets on Day of the Dead, and, you know, just spend a little time thinking about them, and often what their favorite food was, or, you know, their favorite toy, something that makes you think of those folks. So, like I said, it's a good reminder, and it's not a sad day. You're celebrating the things they enjoyed the most and how they interacted with your family. So, so go out and celebrate Day of the Dead. It's actually November 1st and 2nd. Like I said, it's not related to Halloween. And you know, if you have any sugar skulls, pull your sugar skulls out. You can make a project, and it's all right. So. It is a celebration day, yeah. I did notice this year, I've been driven past the cemetery a couple times lately because it's on the way to the vet's office. So those of you who caught me at the beginning will hear my vet stories, but they're actually having a festival at the cemetery this year, which, I mean, it's great. It's right in line with it, but yeah, it was kind of interesting. I would love to kind of see it, but I probably won't go down there. I think I'm going to go to the Botanic Garden and just listen to some bands and see the, like I said, they set up diorama is not quite the right word, but it's basically what it is, you know, for relatives. They have high school kids here that will sell those or set those up, and they'll be on display over at the Botanic Gardens. So that's where I plan to go, and it's just a fun way to see things. So, all right, and I never did wear my last year. Those of you who followed me on or see me on Stars Beads, I did make these Day of the Dead seed bead earrings. I was gonna make some more of those, you know, and see if anybody's interested, but it's been kind of crazy lately. There's been a lot of stuff going on, so I didn't have time to do that, but maybe I will this weekend. Anyways, maybe we'll show some more of those. All right. Thanks again for joining me. Have fun with the trick-or-treaters. Hopefully they're being good and not being tricksters in your neighborhood. So, and I will see you all on Sunday, again, an hour earlier for all of you that are not in Arizona or didn't go on daylight savings time. So, and we'll do our drawings. So, love my kitties. Yeah, my kitties did not love their outfits, but I thought I would share that with you. And you know, I had to wear my costume today too. So, as I admitted earlier, they were not actually wearing those today. I took the pictures yesterday or the day before because my one cat had surgery yesterday, so I'm not harassing him at all. I'm just letting him chill and get better. So, anyways, I will see you all on Sunday, and I'm sure I'll see you around. Please post your designs. Like I said, if you haven't already, you have till midnight to get in for our 2 drawings that we have, and we'll be doing the drawings live on Sunday. See you soon, and have a creative weekend. Bye.